So here's a demonstration of what forces looks like on the oscilloscope. The capacitors are set to the Balsium range, which is down. It's a low audio range between audio and control voltage. And I'll put the knobs at various settings, and I'll just go down through the four forces from the top down to the bottom. So here we go. Forces top. Forces mid-top. Forces mid-bottom. And forces bottom. So you can see the bouncy balls are bouncing off of each other. Here's a wider setting. That's the forces low, mid-low. Forces mid-low. I'll move the knob a little bit. Move it to the forces mid-high. The top again. So you see it isn't actually a pitched waveform, but you do have a control of a sort of pitch and chaos all at once. It's a unique module. I'm going to switch them to the audio rate. We're going to look at it and listen to it at a very high frequency. That was the top. Here's the mid-top. Here's the mid-bottom. And then the bottom. This is forces with the very low capacitors on. So this is making a useful waveform for modulation of other modules, of course, which is the goal. So that's on the mid-low, mid-bottom, and mid-top, and the top. And they're all related to each other because they're all bouncing off of each other. They're all bouncing off of each other. You can see bounds and bounce in effect here in this module. The larger bounds make a lower frequency. They're all the same bounce, which of course you can modulate. I'll just put a bar in to modulate it. This is using a flex bar. Okay, just had some peanuts. Thanks to the Tektronix F1. Thanks to the Tektronix 5103N oscilloscope. Thanks to the Tektronix 5103N oscilloscope, we are going to look at what a bounce oscillator looks like. This is the DENUM module. Of course, it's at the lowest capacitor setting, the control voltage setting. It's very slow. If I put it audio though, in the middle, it will go audible. Of course, you have the normal, this is controlling the bounce. It's a good oscillator. But then there is controlling the bounce. So I'm making it smaller, but I'm also making it go up in frequency. And finally, the other capacitor setting is kind of an in-between capacitor setting, as on all the modules. But they all go to the paradox wave that is an infinitely high, or not so quite infinite, triangle wave, very high frequency that you can't hear. So now, just to demonstrate real quick that the DENUM has a VCA on it, I'll plug into the output of the VCA. It's silent right now, and I will use a flex bar. That's using my bar controller. How about I use another DENUM as the amplitude modulator, just to demonstrate the linear versus exponential slopes of the VCA. Linear and exponential. And mute. So, of course, you see the trace is on half the time and off half the time. That's because it's going out the other channel the other half of the time. This is a dual VCA, differential, negative and positive, send it out different channels. Okay, so moving on, I'm landing my helicopter right now. This is the Swoop module. It's being given a triangle wave from DENUM into its bounds. And you can see that triangle wave is causing it to bounce up and then hit a midpoint where it goes brrr and then bounce down again. I could send it another bounce signal, and that would be the other point from which to bounce from. But we're keeping it simple now. In fact, in all these videos, I'm not showing any frequency modulation because you know what that is. So let me just change some of the settings. We'll see. I turn the triangle wave up. And we have some various kinds of wave shaping. Of course, this could be used to process control voltages and gesture inputs as well with the different capacitor settings. And just real quick, I'll say that it also has the trigger input. So now we're triggering these pulses. There's an up pulse. Here's a down pulse. And actually, here's a both pulse. You see they have that nice paradox wave crust on the midpoint while they're waiting to be re-triggered. I can make the other pulse. The other pulse is down then up. Kind of looks the same. And here's the continuous regeneration pulse. We've made it into a triangle wave again. Now let's do the SPROTT module. This is probably the most experimental of all of them, according to J.C. Sprott, a physics teacher in Wisconsin, I think. Let's use a square wave into it. It has an input control, and I can just, turn it up, putting a square wave in it. Now it's just a normal filter. It's a normal filter. I'll turn the Q up a little bit. Q is up a little bit. Now I turn the chaos knob up a little bit. And I bring the frequency up. And I find the spot. You see the bifurcations. So you see, it's like a filter, but I can put some hair on top of the filter. So play around with it. There's a lot of things you can do with it. A lot of FM inputs. We'll talk about it. We'll tweet about it. But there's your introduction.